Welcome to the Art of Black Miami podcast, organized by Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. Our stories introduce emerging and experienced artists who make Miami an exciting place to live and visit. I'm Rosie Wallace, curator and arts advocate. Miami is my home since the 1970s. My passion is cultivating the vision and talent of contemporary artists from the Caribbean diaspora, artists of color, and immigrant artists. Many cultures and languages come together to shape the character of Miami. Chire Regans. I want our visitors to learn a lot about you. And I understand that you moved here from?
From St. Louis, Missouri.
Some people are asking, where is that? And how old were you when you moved here?
I was 9 when we moved here from the Midwest.
Can you share with us how Miami has influenced you as an artist?
Yeah. When I moved here, it was a culture shock, to say the least. And it was a very big difference being in Miami than being in the Midwest. There weren't a lot of cultures to be exposed to in the Midwest. So here in Miami, hearing the different languages, seeing people of all different complexions, it was a shock. It took a little while to get used to, but we were embraced by the community that we lived in.
Those of us that know you and know your work know that you are VantaBlack. Share with us how the name was realized.
So VantaBlack is a substance that was invented a few years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And within the Black community, it became synonymous with things that were really, really Black because it was the blackest substance at the time. So people started to replace Black with VantaBlack. I really liked that. I liked the implications of just being the blackest thing on earth. And I remember thinking, like, that's me. Everything that I talk about has to deal with Blackness. So I wanted to kind of incorporate that into my practice and to give distance between Chire and the visual artist.
I want you to share your work that is deeply rooted in the intersection of social justice and storytelling.
I mainly focus on portraiture because I feel like someone's likeness gives you a window into who that person was. And I've always been really good at portraiture. I've always been drawn to portraiture. The portraits that I do now, there's a narrative behind these works. These people are real people. They lived complex lives. And a lot of them lost their life tragically. So I try to incorporate all of that into one portrait. When I look back at work that I've done, I can see where I was mentally when I completed this portrait and what I knew about this person at the time.
What's your reason for choosing black paper?
I started using black paper because by nature, I like to challenge norms. So I started experimenting with different surfaces in college, and I really liked the effect that black paper gave me. It was a challenge in depicting the human form and how light hits this form on this surface. And I really liked that challenge, and then I got used to it. And so when someone points out the black paper, I have to think back like, yeah, this isn't normally what you see. You don't normally see people working on black paper, but it's normal to me now.
What do you think about the actual craft of drawing?
It is therapeutic. It is informed by my thoughts and feelings. If I'm doing a portrait, I try to really channel what I feel about this person, what I want the viewer to feel in how my hand moves across the surface. Not only am I telling your story as a person, but I don't want you to put labels on this person's culture. I just want you to look at how this person is on this surface and how light hits their face.
You identify yourself when we spoke as artist mother, truth teller, community advocate. All of these roles come together in your memorial portrait project that you initiated in 2016, the loneliness of that journey. Bring us into it.
I noticed that when I became a parent, my sense of urgency changed. Why I created changed. I always thought about, what is my child going to think about this? Why do I make this work? You ask yourself different questions when you become a parent. I started the Memorial Portrait series because there was a child who lost his life. His name was King Carter, and he was 6 years old. I first learned about him through social media. His father did a live video on Facebook, and I saw this video so many times, and I was just struck by this emotion that this Black man was showing on a public platform after he had just found his child dead in the street in broad daylight, after he had sent him to the store. I started to see King's face all over the news, and every time I saw that baby, I saw my baby.
How old was your baby then?
He was 6. My son was the same age. Wow. Usually, if I'm going to respond to something, I do it verbally, but I couldn't respond verbally. So I was like, let me use my practice to respond to what's happening in my community to babies. So I started doing research about King, and in that process, I came across other victims who didn't get the same type of press coverage. And I was like, these stories should be told also. I started with 1 portrait, then it became 5, and now it's unfortunately over 250 stories to tell. It's ongoing. And there have been times when I've been like, let me close out this series. People get it. I can display the work and people will understand. But what will happen is a parent will call me or email me or hit me up on social media. I'm very accessible, and say, can you tell my child's story? And that's what I'm supposed to do. If you ask me to tell your child's story, I have to tell your child's story.
It would be lovely if we could stop, but I'm not sure when you're going to be able to stop, because the portraits are life-changing indeed. You became the first artist to ever serve on a criminal justice committee. Where is this committee? How were you selected?
The CJLE, the Criminal Justice and Law Enforcement Committee, is a subcommittee of the Miami-Dade County Community Relations Board. And I was approached in 2017 by my commissioner at the time, Dennis Moss, to exhibit my portraits in a yearly exhibition at Government Center. He had come across the work I had exhibited at some community events in his district, and he wanted me to bring this work downtown. So they invited me to participate. They built me a wall, and I was there supervising the installation, and I was approached by the director of the CJLE at the time, Shirley Planton, and she was like, this is amazing. There were some parents there, and she was able to talk to the parents. She talked to me, and she asked me if I would like to be a part of this new committee. And she said that you seem to have a grasp of what the community needs, and we would like you to represent the community on this committee. And I was like, of course, I have things to say. And usually there are lawmakers, lawyers, and political people on this committee, but I'm just a regular artist from the community. We talk about what's happening in the community, how law enforcement should respond, what the community thinks. I've talked to a lot of families about their experience with law enforcement after they lose a child. Everyone that loved this person wants this person's life to be remembered, and they want law enforcement to change how they interact with the community. They have reluctance to interact with law enforcement, and I've been given the blessing to say what they feel at these meetings.
It's an honorable place to be in. You speak not only as a mother, but you speak as somebody who has been working in these communities for all of these years. We want to talk a little bit about joy.
All right.
The joy that you felt in 2020 when Miami Oolite Art Center selected you for a social justice award. What are some of the positive outcomes that have happened since that award?
Just to be told that you won the first of its kind, an award for $25K, is a lot. When I found out about the award, I was in the middle of a mural that I had been working on for months, and it was just heaviness all around me. Job insecurity. How am I going to support myself, support my children, and support my practice? So for Oolite to say, hey, you deserve this money because of what you do. I cried, but then afterwards I was like, this can do some things. I can further my practice to be this type of artist, an artist who's addressing issues that are uncomfortable, things that make people sad. You really have to think about this type of work. To have an organization that's embedded in the artistic community here to say, we support you, I am forever grateful. It's still surreal. And I'm just really, really thankful that I was given that opportunity.
This opportunity highlighted the visible community work that you've been doing at the Bakehouse. If we're passing on 32nd Street in Wynwood by the Bakehouse Art Complex, will you describe what we'll see?
You'll see a mural that is a block long. It's titled Say Their Names, and it's text-based. And I have say their names in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole because I wanted to speak directly to this community. And it includes 541 names of victims of gun violence, police brutality, and domestic violence. Each name was hand stenciled by me. And then there was a group of maybe 40 volunteers that decided to come help over the course of 6 months. I decided to do this mural in response to the murder of George Floyd because I wanted to create a piece that was accessible and direct. I wanted people to understand the magnitude of the effect of gun violence in the United States. And when you walk by, you'll see names. You will be a witness. Mm-hmm.
Say Their Names is monumental.
It's a lot. It's one thing to have this vision for a mural that's text-based, that's a block long, and then to actually be out there. I was like, how am I going to do this? But I took it one step at a time. People really wanted to help. I learned a lot about the people that live directly in that community. There were people that I saw every day, and they saw the progression of this work. I got to interact with people viewing this work and people participating.
Artists came.
Yes, artists came. Yes, a lot of my artist friends came. Yeah. I'm so thankful to them because the pandemic had just hit its height and artists were hit very hard. My artist friends decided to come out there and spend time with me.
Give me some love.
Give me some love.
The pandemic isolated us, but you were in community working. Mm-hmm. We can't go back to where we were before.
No, absolutely not.
What's the difference for you moving forward?
I think the difference is artists are being more truthful. They're taking more chances. Mm-hmm. And they understand how important they are in the community. People have relied on artists of all different types during the pandemic because if you're isolated, you're looking for some stimuli. Before, I would only think about internal spaces where I could create work. People would have to come into a space. Then I was like, let me make a space where people can just drive by. You don't have to go in. At your leisure, just come by and see this and pay tribute, spend time with the work, and then carry on about your day.
December 2021 marks 1 year of the unveiling of this mural.
Mm-hmm. Art Basel of 2021. I collaborated with one of my dearest friends, Lonnie Johnson, and we did a piece that's called The Procession, a Reprise. As Lonnie led the procession, I read the names of the victims that were memorialized. George Floyd, Delane Martin, Jamar Rollins, Willie James McDonald, Antonio Butler, Jermaine McBean, Barry Geddes, Travis McNeil, DeCarlo Moore, Nico Crooks, Lynn Weatherspoon. We walked past the mural and we walked into the bakehouse past an installation that I did that's called A Reflection of the Times in collaboration with Commissioner. I wanted to mark this 1 year unveiling of the mural, and I wanted the names to be heard, and I wanted people to really focus on what they had gone through the past year, to embrace loss and letting go of all of those things that they were holding on to.
This was an Art of Black Miami podcast sponsored by the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. I am Rosie Gordon Wallace. Today we introduce you to Chire Regans, artist, mother, truth teller, and community advocate. Her drawings and murals serve to deepen public engagement in vital issues of social justice for Black communities in Miami and beyond. We recorded this conversation in the historic neighborhood of Little Haiti, a mecca for Black art and culture. Art of Black Miami highlights the year-round art and culture scene in Miami's heritage neighborhoods and across communities in Greater Miami and Miami Beach. If you are enjoying our stories, visit artofblackmiami.com to learn more. Engage us on social media, post and share using the hashtag #ArtofBlackMiami. The Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau is an accredited, independent, not-for-profit sales and marketing organization. GMCVB's mission is to attract visitors to Greater Miami and Miami Beach for leisure, business, and conventions. For up-to-date art events, promotions, and more information, visit artofblackmiami.com.